And we're live. What is up, everybody? Austin prechtelevate performance, coming at you live for another episode of the podcast. And today I am joined by one kick-ass individual. Very excited to have him on the podcast today. And that amazing person is Noah. Say what's up, Noah. Introduce yourself, where you're from, how long we
Yeah,
worked together
so
for, all that good shit.
yeah,
Just
I got
dive
you.
into it.
Name's Noah. I don't know if you make it any more obvious. From Indianapolis, Indiana, but I now reside in the colorful state of Colorado. But started this journey to lose some weight, look good for my wedding. I have some countdown on my phone. I mean, I don't know. My fiance knows it much better than I do, so I'm a little, a little bit off. She's probably going to be mad at me, but that's okay. It's 200 and I'm wrong. 189 days. So,
Damn.
you know,
Under 200 days.
yep.
That's coming quick, dude.
Oh,
I
absolutely.
I remember I remember when I was like, whenever we ended up, me and my wife got married, and I was like, oh, like, it's because we ended up having to postpone it. And then when it was finally time, like, we were like, oh, like it's 5 months away or 6 months away. It's like,
Hmm.
it's plenty of time. And then it was like all of a sudden, like 4 weeks away, and we were like, whoa, okay, that was pretty quick. What do I need
Yep.
to do? Like, how could how can I'm just like in my mind like scrambling, like, kind of thing. But yeah, man, it's gonna be good. It's gonna be a good time. You're getting married in September, right?
End of September. So hopefully it's not too warm.
Yeah,
That was our hope for sure.
yeah,
It's
that was
not
definitely one of
hot.
the reasons that we wanted to get away, because out here it's like fire season during the time when we were getting married. We were
Hmm.
worried it was gonna be like there's gonna be like a fire or something like that would like just like smoke everybody out on accident. But it worked out. But yeah, so you've been on this journey. We started when did you say we started working together? It was like
My first
it was
picture check-in. So
like
was
November, right?
August. No, whoops. October 14th.
Okay, that's right.
So I don't know if that's when I started, if we did photos before we started, or if how that worked, but I don't remember. It's sometime in October.
Because I remember it was you and a couple of other people that ended up doing one of our challenges. It was our six
Yeah,
week challenge. I think is what we
the
started with.
Thanksgiving, was it Thanksgiving challenge?
Yeah, I think
Something
sort of like
something like that.
fall into fitness or some shit. Like it was
Yeah.
it was some sort of like good like ear candy sounding name. But yeah,
Yeah.
so we
Something to catch attention.
yeah, exactly. And so yeah, so you joined that, and we ended up, you ended up signing up for afterwards, like for a year, like, and we're
Yeah.
still, working together now as of that happening. And so for you, because it's been a little bit now, and you've, survived through the holidays and everything like that on a health and fitness journey, like, which is like a huge win in of itself, just because a lot of times, like, people get caught up in it and then they,
Mhm.
they don't. And so for you, like, what ended up motivating you to start in the first place?
So we talked about this before, but for those checking in, I was always the bigger kid. It was
Yep.
always when I was growing up. I mean, I was born in 2000, so I mean, I'm not that old. But when I was growing up, my parents, it was my mom had three boys. Well, my
Mm-hmm.
dad's there, but three boys and hungry boys at that. So it was,
Yep.
it's Taco Tuesday. If you want seconds, you got to hurry up and eat. So my body wasn't going until it was full. It was
Mm-hmm.
just going until like it felt full, but I was still eating. So I was overeating. I was always the bigger kid in football. I had the big X on my helmet electrical tape because I couldn't run the ball because I'd hurt people. Um, it seems like a cheat code, but I guess we
Yeah,
gotta
yeah,
protect the kids. I guess. Obviously, I don't do that now. That was like 10 years ago when I was in elementary school and middle school. But just wanted to get myself into a good state of health. The big thing was my engagement photos when I surprised my
yeah,
fiance. I saw the shirt, like, it felt okay on me, but then I saw the pictures, like, ugh. I was like, I don't.
yeah,
That's not me, and that's not who I want to be. And living here, it's like, I have every opportunity to go hiking, go
yeah,
walking, and all that kind of stuff. So just push myself a little bit farther. And at that time, I was living on my own.
yep,
My fiance was still in Indiana, and it was like, now's the time to do it. I can create the habits that work because I ain't got nothing else to do. I
yeah,
come home, I play video games. The 3 hours of video games can be turned into an hour and a half at the gym, if not more, with walking. So
yeah,
just like subtle changes, and I've made bigger changes. Like, I went from evening where it was like, oh, I lose 3 hours a day at home, and then now I wake up at like 5:30. I'm go to the gym, get my
yeah,
workout in, get my steps up already. I'm almost to 3,000 by the time I get to work, and
yeah,
so there's just habits. And I know, like, some people have a problem getting up early, and it's like I was the same way. And then now, if I don't get up early, I get a headache in the middle of the day. So
Yeah,
like it's
it's
to the point
weird, isn't
where
it?
it's
How you
yeah,
make these your body
it's a
like
good habit. But
yeah.
I come
Oh, dude.
home, I make my fiance's lunch because I'm great like that,
Yeah.
and I make the bed, I do the
The bread.
laundry. Like there's a and I know I wear a ring because I'm just getting used to it. I fidget like a terrible person, but
Yeah.
so I told my fiance, I was like, I'm gonna wear this. So I unfortunately, I am getting married, but I do try to support her and her job, and she goes to the gym, so that's also helped that we kind
Yeah.
of go to the gym at the same time. So a lot of it's
That's
just
awesome, man.
habits,
Dude,
habits, habits, habits.
so
Yeah,
yeah, and I will say like you've made like huge I mean just a lot of changes, like small changes at the beginning, but then these things add up over time into these big changes. And like you said, now like your body's so used to the changes and like going to the gym and getting your protein in and all these other things that it's just like it's your new normal. And it's like a new normal that's like constructive and like good for you instead of like the normal of like the habits that were kind of that got you to where you were and kept you kind of where you were. So very proud of you, man. Like I mean, I will say like you
yeah.
made
Thank
some
you.
big changes that not a lot of people are willing to make or even like entertain the idea of, and you've been doing it. You've been doing the damn thing. So as far as like challenge wise though, for you, what was like the biggest challenge that you faced so far when it comes to progress in general? Because I titled this episode of the podcast like recomping big time, because like we're just even this as of yesterday, because it was check-in day yesterday, like we're starting to see some things move in the direction that we've been wanting to. But I
Yeah,
know, and I've been talking for a long time about how you're like clear as day. Like you've even shared pictures in the group chat and stuff of like, I mean, it looks like you've dropped like 40 pounds or something like that, even though the scale hasn't been showing it. And so you want to talk a little bit about that?
yeah. I mean, I think the biggest thing, and it's so hard to get over, is like you get on the scale. Like I have the bad tendency, like in January, it's like 2 months into it, I'm like, man, I should be at this weight. And you get on the scale and you read the same thing for 4 weeks straight, and you're just like,
Mm-hmm.
this sucks.
Yep.
And then you go look at the photos from beginning of the month to the end of the month, you're like, okay, never mind. I'm just gonna
You're
keep
like, I'm gonna
quiet
quit and
because
play. Yeah.
yeah. So I look back on that. The biggest challenge definitely is just like getting over the hump of being driven by a scale, and that works for some people. Some people can do that, but
Yep.
like it was so stressful and made me feel like I was just like I had no traction. I was just stuck in a mud pit. And then I started to see
Yep.
the photos. You look all the way back to the beginning of your journey, and you're like, oh, okay, never mind. Like it's not
Yeah.
as bad as I thought. So that was probably the biggest, besides like building those habits, getting myself to the gym,
Mhm.
getting out of the ruts of like just going to the gym, not putting in the cardio,
Yeah.
and stuff like that.
Yeah. I think too, like, and that just emphasizes the importance of like having those other like ways of measuring progress, like non-scale victories or non-scale like measurements, like inches or photos, or like how much stronger that you're getting in certain areas. Like
Yeah.
those things, like mindset, like those. There's so many ways to like measure progress while being
And
on
it
like a
doesn't
healthy.
have to be just like I completely feel like different. Like I started at 309 and now I'm like to 294.
Yep.
And yeah, there's body recomp, but the biggest thing that like I'm very happy about is like my overall I feel better.
Yeah.
The going to the gym, like I feel better after the gym. Like I generally just have a better sense of like where I am in terms of
Yeah.
like just feeling better and overall, not
Yeah.
just the weight, not just the muscles, but the like physically feeling like, oh yeah, like I feel, like I could walk forever or like whatever. Like I,
Yeah.
I just feel in a better state
And that
overall.
but and that gives you that like that sense of confidence too, like in those areas of life where it's just like it's like you feel like you got this, like
Hmm.
when you go into the gym now, I bet you just feel like way more confident knowing what you're doing now and everything like that than at the beginning. And like another thing I want to
Yeah.
highlight too is like, dude, I mean, you're just getting stronger and stronger, which is
Yeah. I
fun to
feel
see.
bad for my workout buddy. He hates it because like I'm trying to be so humble about it, and it's like when I
You're
have to
motivating
like
him though. You're
I'm
setting
adding
the
more plates. Oh, I pushed him really hard the other day during leg day, and I was like,
yeah,
dude, like you always have to compliment my leg physique. And you're like, oh, I wish my legs were like that. And I'm like, dude, you can get your legs like that. He goes,
yeah,
it's genetics. I'm like, no, I mean, some of it can be genetics, but I was
yeah,
also a marching band for 4 years in high school. So I
yep,
was already building those muscles, but
yep,
that's pushing people to their max without letting them fall off
yeah,
the cliff. And I think, the biggest thing is just that like accountability. That's why I like having my workout partner. And
Yeah.
that's another, to trace back to like starting this journey was when I became financially invested.
Yep.
I needed to do it because not only did I have money in it and I
Yep.
wanted the goals,
Yep.
but now it's like there's two things pushing me.
Yep.
And it's because I feel like, if I was, and some people could do it on their own. My
Yep.
fiance, she watches this, I don't know her name, trainer. She watches a daily 45-minute video. She does the whole workout.
Yep.
She's in good shape. And that works for some people. But
Yep.
like having you to check in on me, do, stuff like that helps me have more accountability. And then having my workout partner go with me, like him and I, it's so easy. Like if he's like, oh, I got to meet at 5. I'm like, okay, that pushes me to get out of the bed. Like on days that he doesn't go, like last week he didn't go, I struggled to get to the gym at 5:30. I was there at like 6. I still got my workout in, but I feel like, oh, I got to get there. He's picking me up. We got to go to the gym. We got to get it in. And then I'm financially into it. And I want to see myself at that, goal weight at the end of the week for my wedding. And those all push. And it's nice to have that additional pushing.
I completely agree, man. I love that. And I think too, it's like there's a saying, and it's very true. And like, it goes for anything, not just like having a coach or a trainer or a program or whatever, but like people who pay attention. Like if you invest in something, like money's just like this abstract, like form of our time. Like we put time in at a job to make money. We're trading our time for money. And so like when you invest in something, regardless of what it is, you're going to be way more likely to follow through on it because it's like, I just exchanged what I exchanged some of my life for this other thing. And it's just, it kind of changes the game. And not everybody's motivated in that way, but like those that are like, and I'm one of those people, like I'm way more likely to pay attention and to like, actually like if somebody gave me like a free course to learn how to do something or I paid $10 for it or something like that, like, I could ignore it and it's not that big of a deal. It's like, oh, it's just $10, like whatever. But if you invest whatever amount that's like, whatever is, because value and price and things like that's relative to the person, because there's super rich people that don't think anything's expensive, you know what I mean, versus somebody else who, but like whatever that is to you, like if you can find a way to invest in that way, like
I think
the
picture that really helped me is my mom's type 2, and that was that was like not a huge motive, but like I didn't want to be in that predicament. I love my mom, but like I also don't want to go through that, seeing her poke herself throughout my life. Like I just don't want that for myself. And so besides that, I thought, what's the thousands of dollars, not just my mom, but people put it into their health, when they're, in their mid to late 40s, going into their 50s, like I was like, if I spend the money now and get myself into good shape, not only could I help, extend my life in some ways, but that's tens of thousands of dollars I may have saved myself. That I forwarded some up front. To better myself, and now I'll reap the benefits if I stick to it. The rest of my life. And
completely agree, dude. I mean, you're getting quantity and quality of life like increased and enhanced. And like you said, like I mean, it's one of those things that's like you choose your hard now, and like like get ahead of it and be like in great shape and not have to have things be as hard later down the line. And like I just know so many people who are older who like their whole life they're like they throw like bury that, like they like put themselves into the dirt, like working themselves to death, basically like putting their body into a bad place, putting their health into a bad place, and just in the hopes of like retiring when they're like 60s, but then they get their entire life savings like drained because they get incredibly sick or injured or hurt or have to like live in the hospital. And it's just like, and then there goes all that. And then they're, struggling. It's just like, I've seen that happen enough. Like, it's hard. And I think it's hard for people to like think about it that far out. Right. Cause it's like, they're like, oh, that's so far away, but it's really not. I mean,
it's the same thing as when your parents told you, you need to get a 401k. You need to do this to set yourself up for success. Your health is the same way. You got to look at it in that same perspective that, in 40 years from now, well, I'm 24, so I have 41 years if I ever get to that point to retire. But, like to be able to financially, but I'd rather, if I'm going to be financially well off, I want to be able to go do things like my grandparents. They went on cruises, they went to Alaska, like all this stuff. I want to be able to healthy enough to travel, go do that. And I think, for those that are watching that are, maybe older than I am, it's never too late there. And I wanted to give you this quote. I'd heard this from a coworker.
Yeah.
It's from Jimmy Carr, the British comedian who left his
Okay.
job as I think a businessman or a lawyer, became a
Yeah.
really famous British comedian. He said, if you were, what's one opportunity you would take if you were guaranteed not to fail? And that's what I heard it in the last couple of weeks, but I internalized that now that, like, you can do anything you put your mind to.
Yeah.
Take the opportunity and not think about the failing of it, because
Yep.
once you start to do that, you almost start to spiral. So
Oh yeah.
that's a good quote that I think would resonate
Yeah.
with a lot of people, that, like, if you're guaranteed not to fail, what's that opportunity? And if that's your job, your career, well, the career and job are the same thing, but
Yeah.
your health or whatever, that's where you have to push yourself. And
Yeah.
so yeah.
Completely agree. And I mean, it's one of those things, like, and like I'm of the mindset, like, I don't want to have any like what ifs. Like, if like
Mhm.
what if I would have gone for that, or what if I would have actually gotten in shape or lost the weight or whatever? Like, how would my life have been differently? And like, a lot of I don't want any of my clients to ever have to have that, that question or that thought, because they did go for it. And their failure is part of the process anyways. Like, it's like messing up, like, making mistakes, like, it's literally built into like the equation of success with anything. It's just how quickly can you bounce back from those, like, mess
Yeah.
up the failures and navigate it. Like, I think that's just where like having a community or having a coach or having like a mentor in some sense in that area, it can be helpful, because it's just like,
Mhm.
they can help kind of talk you away from like spiraling, or like, like if something happens, be like, whoa, no, don't freak out.
Yeah.
Like, this is normal. This is how it
Plus
goes.
all
Like,
the other
yeah,
alternative things. Like, I see all this beef online
yeah,
about this guy, really nice mustache, against this big company that, like, even I thought of at one point. But
yeah,
there's also, you have to learn the intricacies of what's going to work best for you, because their motto, their how they do it may not work for you.
yep. There's a
And
lot. There's a lot of different paths to get to the
yeah,
same destination.
that's where I like where you offer the sustainability part.
Yep.
I've seen it on TikTok, on social media. The people that were, my size or bigger, they lose all this weight within a year, and then they
Mhm.
deal with all of this loose skin, which happens, yes.
Yeah,
But like, the way that I'm losing and stuff like that is my body's having the chance to, I
yeah,
don't know how it works, but like,
yeah,
essentially the skin can naturally grow back in, I guess, or like, so
yeah.
in a
So
way.
yeah,
So I know that there's like differences, like
yeah. Oh
if you
yeah,
lost
yeah.
so much, there's hard, but like, from where I'm coming from, trying to build a lot of muscle, it'll be a
Oh
little
yeah,
bit
dude.
easier for me, that I'm not
You
having to worry about that. But
you're gonna
that's
be
something too.
mitigating a lot of loose skin that you
Hmm.
otherwise, like, what if you did like a really crazy rapid weight loss drop and lost a lot of muscle along the way, and just like, and did it just in an unsustainable way, like, and you see that all the time, and then people like screw their metabolisms up because of that, because they just lost a shit ton of muscle. And like,
Yeah.
they also can have like heart problems and stuff, because like your heart is a muscle. And like, I don't, there's just a lot of stuff that goes into like why, like, quick weight loss isn't always better weight loss. Like, there are scenarios where it's like, if it is like life or death to like get a surgery or something, like, obviously, like, you need to make something happen quick, because like,
Yeah.
what's the alternative there? But like, if we're in a position like, when you came to the program, like, yeah, like, let's do it, like, do it the right way, and the sustainable way, so that way we're not like yo-yoing and things like that. So nah, and I will say too, dude, like, your mentality, like, throughout your journey thus far, like, even working together, like, it's been cool to see that growth.
Hmm. Thank
Like,
you.
it's been cool to see like that transition from the beginning to like where you're at now. Like, I feel like your perspective on like what a health and fitness journey looks like has matured a lot, which has been cool to see. So
Yeah, I mean, everybody wants that. Like, when I started, I was like, oh man, my goal, for those that don't know what the goal was, I started at
yeah,
309,
yep,
built like an offensive lineman for the Denver Broncos. I'm just a
yeah,
couple inches too
you're a big
short.
boy.
Not the right muscles to be playing offensive line, but
Yeah,
the overall stature and like metrics made it seem like I could have.
yeah,
But that's where I started. The goal is 225. Now I tell myself in my head, let's say the wedding day comes around and I weigh
yep,
235, 245.
yep,
I'm not gonna be disappointed because I put myself to it, but I can't in March, I can't sell myself short.
yep.
I can't, I'll be close enough. No, it's, gotta grind it, gotta make it,
Yep.
this is for myself. This is for my future kids. This
Hell
is
yeah.
for enjoying my retirement. This is for, fitting into a race car. That sounds crazy. I'll give a brief history of this. I went to there's an event in Michigan at Gingerman Raceway called Grid Life.
Yeah.
YouTubers come out, it's drifting, racing. and Hyundai had a launcher race car,
Yeah.
and it had very fitted bucket seats
Yeah.
that I couldn't squish myself far enough back into, so I couldn't
Yeah.
ride in the car.
Oh shit.
And there's that. That's, to me, was humiliating. I was like,
Yeah.
this
Yeah.
is like, and another time previously before that, Kings Island is a ginormous
Yep.
amusement park in Indiana, or
Yep.
it's not Indiana, it's in Ohio.
Yeah.
But there's a roller coaster. I think it's closed now. What is the heck? It's the
Was it the
snake one. I
Beast
can't.
or
No, it's the snake one.
oh yeah. What
I
was
can't
that?
remember what it's called now.
Yeah.
My fiance's gonna be like, I remember. I don't, but I never
Yeah.
remember in the moment. But that one was, and this wasn't the person's fault. They had a lady that was, on the skinnier side, and she couldn't push on me.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was like, my legs are fine, like push. And
Yeah.
you got to the point that like they couldn't push it. And I remember she was my girlfriend at the time, my fiance now. She
Yeah.
wrote it. Her best friend and her boyfriend at the time wrote it. And I remember I was at the picnic table and I literally cried.
Yeah.
My fiance probably doesn't even know this. I cried. I was so humiliated
Yeah.
by the fact that, like, I first of all felt bad. I wasted everybody's time trying to get me into a freaking
Yeah.
seat.
Yeah.
And second of all, it's like, well, I don't want to be like this the rest of my life.
Yeah.
I don't want to be heavy set the rest of my life.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's your hips. That can be genetics. I don't
Yeah.
know. I mean, I'd have to know once I've lost the weight
Yep.
if like it's truly genetic.
Yeah.
But that was one of those things, like, you're like, oh, this is like the low of the low. And that was years ago when I first did a weight loss with my friend. We just played a lot of basketball, which is a
Yeah.
fun way to do cardio, full court basketball.
Yep.
Slight lifting. The caveat was I would go to McDonald's afterwards and get a triple cheeseburger,
Yeah.
which I probably burned that many calories. That's why
Yeah.
I was still losing weight.
Yeah.
But like I wasn't doing the proper thing. So now that I got, my nutrition still isn't there. The protein's still, a little bit lower, but, getting all the right, pieces of the puzzle in place now, especially I kind of felt bad. I started this whole journey, right?
Yeah.
And I have a really big advantage, comparatively, just because I'm 24. I have the opportunity that my body is very adaptable right now.
Yep.
And so, I'm making all these changes, and that's why I want to do it now. At 24, I can go through all this. My body can recomp.
Oh yeah.
There's still a lot of things in my body that'll allow me to, kind of get into that shape I want to be in.
Yeah.
Without, because it's hard. It's hard
Yep.
regardless. But
Yep.
I have it a little bit easier. So now is the time to take advantage
Yep.
of it.
Absolutely,
And I want
man.
to do it now. So
Yep, completely agree. And getting to that place, especially, if you're planning on having kids at some point in the future, like getting there now and then maintaining and
Well,
still building upon that. Like it makes
TikTok taught me that, like, the 9 months before you start, thinking about having kids, it's all the guy. Like, that's what, I don't know if that's true or not, but TikTok's been, telling me all about this. And I'm like, it's really, certain things when a woman is pregnant is built by.
I saw something about
Yeah.
that. Like a lot of like health factors and even like, like things like preeclampsia and HELLP syndrome and like gestational diabetes and like all these things that can happen. Like a lot of it has to do with the man's like,
and I'm no scientist. I don't.
No, yeah, I mean,
but
I am
like,
a little bit. I mean, I am, but like, not. I'm not. That's
Yeah.
not my specialty either. But like, there's, they've shown like a big part of like,
Yeah.
how.
And I don't want my fiance to go. Should be my
Yeah.
wife at that
Oh,
point.
yeah.
But like, there's things I don't want to put her through something that I
Yep.
could have spent 9 months,
Yeah.
preparing for.
Oh yeah.
So
absolutely, dude.
that's
Yep.
that's not the main goal, but that's
Yep.
a benefit of doing this journey
Yep.
in itself.
I saw even like how intense morning sickness can be and when
Yep.
and how long it goes for. It can be because of the man's like sperm quality or like or if he was drinking a lot during that time or like there's a lot of things to find out now. It's just like oh shit, okay, like that.
Yeah, like, where was this like
Yeah,
we could have found this out earlier.
Yeah, exactly.
Maybe that could help my genetics. I don't know. I don't know what my parents were. That's before the internet.
Yeah. Oh yeah, dude. Yeah. Yeah, man. No, I love all that, and I completely agree. So for you, how much more time do we got here? We got like 10 minutes, something like that.
As much time as you need, my friend.
Okay, cool.
It's Friday, and I worked long hours the last couple of days, so
oh yeah, man. Sweet.
Whatever you want to do is fine with me.
Awesome. So for you, as far as like balance goes, right? Like between the fitness and the nutrition and social life and things like that. Like how do you find balance, or like what would you tell somebody about it? Like, is there balance? Is like what?
There is. I still, like I mentioned before, I still, have some problems with the nutrition side.
Yep.
But, there's also the opposite side of that is you can still be happy. Like the motto of the company, the whole beef is with is like eat whatever you want and lose weight.
Yeah.
And there's some truth to that.
Yep.
When you're paying attention, you have to be paying attention. You
Yeah.
have to be willing to take that. Socially, since I left Indiana, my social life isn't as plentiful.
Yeah.
It's more so just me and my fiance, a couple friends,
Yep.
stuff like that. But it becomes easier to balance the more you build a habit. And this goes back to the whole like waking up early, going to the gym. Like the habit of going to the gym, loading your calories into MyFitnessPal, checking your calories throughout the day, seeing what you're eating. Heck, I had a steak burrito from Chewy's for lunch.
Yep.
It's like 1,200 calories.
Yep.
But I know that I had, 200 calories in a protein shake, a banana, and strawberries for breakfast. I know how much I got left, and then just finding that good balance at the end of the day. Now the steak burrito has a crap ton of protein in it, but there's still some things you have to be careful of. But just the biggest thing, and you've talked about this before, is like it's a lot of finding it yourself. Because I'm not going to be the same as somebody that's going through it, especially because coming from a male that there's different things compared to a woman or whatever that like. There's just differences, so you have to find your happiness and your ability to.
I think too is like what stage of your life you're in too. Like it's one of those things like Noah's journey right now. If starting now versus if you would have waited 10 years to start, like there's different pieces of the puzzle that might be missing or that need work or whatever than there are right now. And so that's the nice thing about like again like having something that's customized, I think is really helpful, but also again, having somebody that you can just like bounce ideas off of or ask questions or like, anybody that I work with can always come to me and be like, am I fucking this up? Like, am I messing? Like, is this wrong or right? Like, what should I be doing here? And I can give you an honest answer of like, this is how we should approach this thing or do this, or these are our options. And it just helps. Like it helps, when somebody is struggling with, belief or confidence in will this work, right? Or kind of thing, having that knowledge or that knowing like, hey, like if I do this thing, this blueprint, if I follow this plan, if I do whatever my coach says, like I will get there. Like that takes a lot of pressure and stress and like uncertainty out of somebody's journey. And I think that just helps build that confidence. Like, okay, like I literally just have to do this and it'll pan out the way I want it to. Kind of. So
in a sense of how I started with a 30-day challenge where you could get in. It was not very much money. It was, the ability to see it. Now I didn't see weight loss in that 4 weeks. But what I did see is my happiness, my ability. Like I don't drink caffeine. I have a Diet Coke here and there. But like I don't rely on coffee. I don't rely on energy drinks. I have one occasionally, but like my overall natural energy levels are vastly higher. And the whole, waking up early, I can get to bed and I get good sleep. Better now. And those are some things I noticed within those 4 week period that like, the scale was relatively the same the whole time. But, like I mentioned earlier, happiness, sleep quality is higher. There's a whole bunch of other things that come with actually getting yourself in shape. And you may start journey and never lose weight, but your overall health will improve because you're getting yourself active, burning calories, and helping your body overall.
And you've seen, I mean, like we mentioned earlier, like the body recomp has been pretty awesome, just as far as like, and it just goes to show it's like somebody can look and feel completely different at the same weight depending on what they did to get there or what they're doing to like, maintain or get there. And so just it's crazy like how adaptive the body can be when you start giving it a reason to change in the ways that you want it to change. That's awesome. So for you, as far as non-scale victories, we've kind of already covered some of those things that you've seen the benefits of. For anybody that's listening right now, who's thinking about starting their journey or has maybe tried and failed and maybe is thinking about getting back into it, or even, Noah at the beginning of his journey, like if you could go back and tell yourself like, a piece of advice or a golden nugget, or, if you've got more than one, like by all means, please feel free to share. But like, what would you tell those people who are like on
this is going to be very blunt, and that's okay.
Yeah.
I told myself over and over and over again I was going to lose weight. I was going to do it. I spent the last decade of my life. I mean, in high school and March, I was in good shape because we were out in the sun.
Yeah.
But after that, that's when things started to pile on. So I graduated high school in 2018. So, I mean, for the last 7 years, I kept telling myself, or now 6 years because I started last year, but I was like, oh, I'm going to do it. I'm going to lose weight. I'm going to be better. I'm going to get into thinner clothes. And then I never did. Yeah. And so the thing I can say is put your money where your mouth is, because if that's where I came into the financially invested part, really pushed me. Yeah. But it doesn't have to be the money. It can just be, go on that walk, go, do a walk around the neighborhood, go to the local park, go, get involved with pickleball. There's all these activities that you can do just to even get yourself active that you'll benefit from deeply. So I'd probably say put your money where your mouth is. As blunt as that is, that's what helped me push myself even farther. Once the 4-week challenge wasn't free, so I was like, okay, I got some money in this. I need to follow through. Yeah, and now I got the habits. Yep, and financially invested in the long term 1 year. Yeah, that I got to do this. I got to get this shit done. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it.
Wedding's coming up,
it's okay to fail. I may. Right now, I probably sound like, oh, this dude doesn't do anything wrong. There's probably somebody like, this guy sucks, but that's fine. But I missed a workout. I missed one when I moved my fiance out from Indiana, given, that was a stressful time. But I still pushed myself. I went to the gym on Christmas, and I know that's because I didn't have family here and I don't have kids, but still just finding that time to, because you owe it to yourself. Yep. To put yourself in a better position. So I think, overall that's, putting my mouth is and just, take the initiative and just give it a try. Because the worst thing that can happen is it doesn't work out for you, but there's different ways. You don't have to do it the same way I did, same way you did, same way, everybody else in the group has done it. Just, you gotta find your own way at the same time, but also, push yourself to be better.
I love that. And we've got people in our group from a wide variety of backgrounds, different stages of life. I mean, I've worked with people in their 70s. I've worked with people in their 20s. I've worked with, people who are parents, who are single parents, who are non-parents. It just, the nurses and doctors and all this other stuff.
It's never too late to do better for yourself. Yep. I mean, you mentioned, having people that are 70. I mean, you can still, maybe the weightlifting isn't your thing. The walking, I can't tell you how packed the pickleball courts are. Yeah. Of people just getting out there and getting it done. Yep. That, there's subtle things that you can start, and some things, this is not just fitness related, but in overall life, I've learned this. The same coworker told me that Jimmy Carr quote about the opportunity is don't put it down, put it away. Yep. And that's not just for fitness, but for in your everyday life, for those, I used to really be bad about cleaning my room when I was a kid. Yeah. And if I would have known, put it, instead of putting it down, put it away. Yeah. Then, that helps with your overall mindset in your house. That helps with, for me, in a way it can be part of the fitness journey, if I, put all this stuff from the garage away, all those steps, all the, so there's certain things that, they don't seem like they could be fitness related, but it's do the laundry. Don't just put the laundry basket down, put it away. Yeah. All of a sudden you're getting more steps in, you're visiting your kids' rooms, doing this or that. Those are subtle things around the house that you don't even notice, cooking dinner. I can get 800 to 1,000 steps just making dinner because I'm wandering around the kitchen. Oh yeah. So it's there's subtle things that if you just get yourself up and doing, the hardest part that I had with trying to get in more cardio was I was oh, I want to watch YouTube on this, TV behind me. Yeah. And all of a sudden you take your favorite headphones and your phone or iPad or whatever device you may have, and you put that right in front of you on the treadmill and you walk for 30 minutes, you walk for an hour, you listen to your favorite audiobook, a podcast, you're maybe listening to this right now. Who knows? There's so many opportunities to make those subtle changes that they may not be pushing weight at the gym, but they're putting yourself in a better position to at least get more mobile, because that would be the best thing for you, is getting your cardiovascular system pumping and you're doing all those things that you're oh man, I want to be lazy today. Well, just get up and go out for a walk. I mean, if it's bad weather, that I hate. I hate treadmills. I'll tell you that right now. But go outside, go on that walk, put on an extra jacket, take the dog for a walk, or whatever. Take the kids out to the local park. There's so many things that aren't directly fitness things that will benefit your overall health. Because that's what I do. My fiance and I, we go on, depending on, if I'm low on steps for a day, there's a gravel oval like a half mile from here. We walk the half mile, we do a loop and come back.
Yep.
And, there's subtle things, and it's the subtle changes, I think, for me that made a
Yeah,
bigger lasting difference.
The small things add up over time. The small changes add up into big results in the long run. And I think one thing that I really like is like, we overestimate what we can accomplish in a day, but we underestimate what we can accomplish in a year. And it's so true for a health and fitness journey. And to anybody out there listening, we're gonna end this here in just a sec. But
they're like, get these guys off the screen.
No. but truthfully though, like, you just gotta like be willing to get uncomfortable. Like, the reason why anybody is at, like, to a degree, is where they're at right now in their health and fitness journey is because of all the decisions and the day-to-day like state of like their mind and their body and what they do on a daily basis. And so, people can be in a lot of discomfort and pain and be uncomfortable, but it's the uncomfortable that they're used to. And so you're already uncomfortable. Like, if the thought of going to the gym makes you uncomfortable, or if the thought of having to like, pay attention to your food a little bit more makes you uncomfortable, or the thought of, going on walks or being in public or whatever, like, trying to get in shape, even though you're really out of shape right now, like, if that makes you uncomfortable, good. That's okay. That's not a bad thing. That's normal. Like,
the gym for me, like, I went to the apartment gym. The apartment gym, I capped it out pretty quickly. I probably spent 2 months there, and I was like, okay, the weights don't go high enough. I'm not getting the exercises I would like.
Yeah.
But you have to remember, if you're somebody that's uncomfortable with either the way you look, you have to remember that probably a good majority of those people that are at the gym have been in your shoes.
Oh yeah.
And they're a testament. I mean, not everybody. I mean, there's the guys that probably take things they shouldn't, but pushing yourself. I find myself pushing myself harder at the gym, and in that environment, of pushing myself harder, and I can get the uncomfortability, and it's a financial burden in some ways, but like, you go there, some people have been through that journey. There's people going through that journey. You're not the only person when you go in that is either struggling with something, or that they're, they don't want to be there. I don't want to go to the gym.
Yeah.
But I'm going because I want to be in better shape. I want to, I'm at the point now where I love going to the gym because it's kind of my own me time. I'm in my own head.
Yeah.
Think about random thoughts, jam it out. I listen to like a rock classic Spotify thing. All of a sudden you're listening to, some banger, and you're just like, all right, I guess I got to push harder on this set. So, there's plenty of things, but don't sell yourself short in the long run. So
and you can't worry about what other people are thinking. Like, I mean, like, honestly,
they don't care that you're working out next to them. They don't care what you look like. They're there to do the same thing. They're there to get a workout in and go home.
Nobody knows what, like, everybody's in their own head, like, thinking about their own shit, and like probably nervous. Like, they like literally, I can't even remember, like, unless I really think about it, what I ate yesterday, like, let alone what somebody randomly did at the gym that might have been a little bit silly, or like was like they.
Now, somebody drops weight on themselves, I tend to remember that, but that's one of those like one-off scenarios. Or,
but again,
maybe somebody that was rude, but like the overall people, like if you think somebody's judging you,
everybody
judges each other in some way, shape, or form, and
you don't even know them, and they don't know you, and it's not like
they don't know your story. You could have lost 75, 80 pounds, or 50 pounds, or 10 pounds. They don't know your journey. They don't know what you've been through, and just do it for you.
Hell yeah, man.
Don't do it for the people at the gym. They don't, for lack of a better term, and to be blunt, they don't care.
No,
they're there to get stronger. So why not do the same for yourself?
Yep, exactly, man. Hell yeah, cool, sweet. Anything else before we hop off here, man?
I don't think so. I can't think of anything.
Hey.
Anything important I missed? Did we go through all those questions you sent me? You grilled me with?
We basically just talked about how much of a badass you are for the last like 40 minutes. So I think we
I don't want to take that title. Everybody's gonna be looking at me kind of funny when I go to the gym tomorrow. No, I'm just kidding.
You got this shit, man. All right, cool. I appreciate you for coming on here, man. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening, everybody. If you're
just listening to my voice for the last 40 minutes.
Yeah, right. And yeah, Noah, you're not super big on social media, are you? Like, not really, like, not. Okay.
I used to in high school, because everybody's like, oh, I need to do a TBH rate and like on my Instagram. I'm over that crap. I post when I want to. So
we don't have to share your Instagram handle then, if you want to keep it private.
Yeah, I don't post too much about my fitness journey on there yet. I'm waiting for the big picture. You know what I'm saying?
Okay. Yeah. We're it's coming.
And that's the goal. be nice in the tux when I put it on. Be like,
Oh hell
kinda
yeah,
nice,
dude! Looking like James Bond.
That's why I'm not getting fitted till like a month before the wedding. I'm like, I don't want to
Smart.
like go now and be like, oh, this suit is baggy.
Yeah.
I look like the NBA players from the early 2000s when they wore
Right.
really long suits. Never understood that, but to each their own, I guess.
Yep. All right, man. Thanks for coming on here. For those of you guys listening,
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely, dude. And on that note, everybody, we're gonna end it here. Thank y'all for listening, and we'll talk to y'all in the next episode. Peace, guys.